Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jenless, the podcast that's here to help you free yourself from the crap that's holding you back so you can claim the life you are meant to live. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how to step into your possibilities and leave limitation at the door. Let's dive in. Hey there, it's Jen. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so dang fired up to talk to you about this specific topic today. Let me just tell you, you're getting the fiery version of me who is just hot to trot on this topic because today is a Thursday thread. It's a Thursday thread. If you'd like to write a Thursday thread jingle and have it played instead of that on the podcast, I would so welcome it. You can send a Thursday thread jingle to me in my inbox on Facebook, on Instagram at untetheredjen. You can email it to me at hello@jenless.com. Would love it. So Thursday threads, I pull out a thread from our Tuesday episode. You don't have to have listened to this episode with Kate Volman on Tuesday, but if you did, it's a little extra bonus juice for you. Kate is an amazing creative. She is an author. She is just such a cool cat. But what I love, well, I love so many things about Kate. One of the things I love most about Kate is her insistence that we do what we love and that we absolutely do it with no reason. Do it because you love it and for no other reason than the fact that you love it, than the fact that it brings you joy. So I suppose it's not really no reason, it's your reason. The only reason is because it effing feels good. That's why you create. That's why you do. That's why you move forward. And that is also something that I'm so friggin' aligned with. You do it because you love it. That's why you do it. That's why we do it. And that is how we step into true possibilities. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story about this and how stepping into your possibilities, stepping into your joy, doing what you love, creating for no reason other than doing what you love helps you to leave those limitations at the door, helps you to open the door in the first place so that you can step through it and leave those limitations behind. So my journey, and I know we have a lot of new listeners to the podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And for former listeners, I haven't talked that much about my story. And so I would really love to share how this has played out in my own life. So years ago, I was a hairstylist. I was a hairstylist for 12 years, loved it. I had a 6-figure income. I was doing phenomenal, just so busy. I mean, I could not possibly get another client into my schedule. I was so booked working 12-hour days just to get everybody in. And not only that, I had the world's best clientele. My clientele were amazing, just the most spectacular humans that had magnetized into my field. I loved them all. And it's why I worked so much. I genuinely loved them. I wanted to make them happy. It was so good until I fell out of love with it. I had loved it. I was creating with it. I was doing it. It was so much fun until it wasn't. And this happens. This happens to us, that we fall out of love with something that we were in love with. That can happen in love. It can happen in our jobs. It can just happen in general, that this used to bring me joy and now it doesn't. And so often we stay in it anyway. We're not doing it because it brings us joy. We're not doing it because we love it. We're doing it because we feel like we have to. We're tethered to it. We're tethered to the income. We're tethered to the expectations. My goodness, did my clients have expectations that I was going to be doing their hair, their children's hair, their grandchildren's hair, everyone's hair for all of eternity, right? Like that's what you think when you have an amazing hairstylist. I fly back to Kansas, by the way, to get my hair done. So I get this. I'm not judging. There were many, many tethers that could have kept me in this job. Many, many, many. And yet I left it. I went back to school. I ended up leaving this amazing 6-figure income, this business that I had built, to take a $20 an hour internship, which at the time, a $20 hour internship was actually pretty dang good pay for a marketing internship. I took this marketing internship and then I built a corporate career. And by the end of that corporate career, I was making well more than I had been making as a hairstylist, even though I was making a really good income. So I had built it back up. But then I fell out of love with that too. And it was time for something new. It was time for me to step back into service. I started coaching and now I'm breathworking and I'm like fully back in that service role that I know is truly, truly my soul's calling. Now that's my journey, right? And a very short, like went from hair to corporate, back to business. Service, it's always been service, but service to corporate and back to service. That's the short of it. Now, how did this happen? How did I release all of those tethers so that I could grow, so I could learn, so I could gain new skills? Because there's no way that I could be the breath worker that I am today, that I could be the coach that I am today, that I can know all of the things that I know to support my clients who are business people, who are entrepreneurs, who are corporate clients. I can support all of these people because I've had those experiences along the way, because I said yes to opportunities, to possibilities, to new things all along the way, having no effing idea where this was going to end. If I had known that as a hairstylist, I was going to end up being a breath worker, I would have been like, that makes no sense. I'm not going to go back into something that seems so similar to what I'm doing now. I'm not going to leave this career for that one, right? That would make no logical sense to me. And yet it's been my journey and I am a baller. I will own that. I am a baller breath worker. And it's because of all of the skills and knowledge, people skills, energy work, all of the client work that I have done, all of the corporate work that I have done along the way to have these skills that I have to be able to hold space for people. The same is true for each of us if we're willing to release these tethers, to let go, to listen, to step into one possibility at a time, to continue listening to what is it that I love, what's lighting me up right now, what can I create right now that will not only support others in the world, but it most importantly is going to feel good to me, is going to bring me joy in this very moment. And if painting color on somebody's hair that used to bring you joy is no longer doing it for you, fucking leave. I'm just going to be honest. If somebody asked me a while back if I'd stop dropping the F-bomb on my podcast so that her child could listen to it, and I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry. If you're not okay with your children listening to F-bombs, it's not a podcast. It's not a podcast for you. And maybe it's okay to let them have the discernment of whether or not they're okay with listening to F-bombs themselves. I don't know. I don't have kids. I can't judge. Effing leave. Just go. If it's not for you anymore, do something new. Lean into what you love. And okay, I say drop it. You don't have to drop. You don't have to drop everything right now. That's actually not fully my message. What my message is, stop doing things you hate. Stop doing things you've fallen out of love with, because the universe is calling you to something different. You've gained skills in those areas. You're done. You got it. You're good there. It's time to move on. You're being called to more. You're being called to something different. You're being called to use these skills that you've developed in this area and create something else that is going to create joy for you and joy for others. And that's the next step to your infinite, amazing, creative possibilities. It's not staying in something that's not bringing you joy. So you don't have to fully just like, I'm quitting my job tomorrow. You could, but another thing that you could do is to start opening your eyes to what is it that could be more fun for me today, right now? What is a possibility that I could do? For example, when I was starting to get burnt out in that corporate career. So I got to that point with hair. I was done. I got to that point in my copywriting career. I was like, ooh, this just doesn't really feel fun to me anymore. And my boss was working on this project that I was like, that looks kind of interesting. And I looked into that project because my coach had said, you don't need to leave your job right now, but what you do need to do is more of what lights you up. And so I saw that my boss was working on this project and I was like, that looks interesting. Hey, can I go sit in on this project? Can I come sit in on this with you? I don't need to work on this project. I just want to kind of come sit in and watch. Over time, I mean, I was like lit up by this project. It was not my client. It was his client. And over time, I was getting so lit up about the work and he was not. It was not lighting him up. He was like, I really don't even want to work on this, Jen. Do you want to take it? And I took it and I ran with it and it transformed me. This ended up delving me into learning and development, into employee experience. I ended up getting a new job. This is where my income ended up really skyrocketing, was because I was so passionate about this thing, this one project that if I hadn't looked to something that would be enjoyable for me, if I hadn't decided, oh, I'm going to lean into something that feels more fun, something that I might love a little bit more, this never would have transpired in the way that it did. I might have stayed in that misery of being stuck and having outgrown some of the growth that I was doing. I was done there. And it was time for me to move into something that brought me more joy. And we can all be doing this all the time. And that's how we release the tethers. We don't release the tethers by focusing on all the things that are uncomfortable that we don't want to do. That's where our mind naturally wants to go, is like, I don't want this. I don't want that. And that's cool. Like, right? You know, the things that you don't like. We already know that. We've got that list. You could write a, huge dissertation about all the things that you don't like. So could I. We all can. But how much can you write about the things that light you up, that bring you joy, that inspire you, that you want to do? Because how much time are you spending focusing on those things, focusing on the possibilities, the dreams, the magic, the wonder, the cool things that you want to do? That project that your boss is working on that you're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. If you're not looking for things that might light you up, then you're stuck in the crap that you don't want to be doing. So I hope that's helpful. Like, what is it? Just list right now, take out a piece of paper and write down 5 things that light you up. What lights you up? Maybe it's hiking. Maybe it's travel. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's, I always think of hula hooping. Maybe it's crafting new recipes. Maybe you love getting in the kitchen and getting creative. Maybe it's laughing. Maybe it's making other people laugh. What are 5 things that light you up? Maybe it's just being on the internet and connecting with other humans. Maybe you love starting a Reddit thread. What are things that light you up? And then what is it about that thing? What is that feeling? Pick one of them. We'll use hula hooping. What is that feeling that you get while you're hula hooping? While your hips are swaying and you're getting in there and you like catch it before it starts to fall to the ground. Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel excited? Do you feel silly? What are the feelings of each of those 5 things that you wrote down? The feelings, like get into your body and feel it. What does it feel like when you're laughing with someone, when you're helping somebody to laugh? Does it feel free? Does it feel fun? Does it feel happy? What are those feelings? And then look every single day in your life. Where can I feel more free? Where could I feel more silly? Where could I feel that laughter in my gut? When we open our eyes to these things, to these feelings, it opens the door to possibility and it takes our focus off of those things, off of the tethers. When you focus on a tether, you only make it stronger. It's okay. You're aware. Like you're freaking good there. You know the tethers. You know them. You know the things that are keeping you stuck. We'll be like, I don't know what's keeping me stuck. Well, it's all the shit you're focusing on that's not fun for you. Those are the things that are keeping you stuck. And it's focusing on those instead of, it's not even actually the things that are keeping you stuck. It's having your focus on them. Shift your focus to the joy, to the wonder, to the possibility, to the freedom, to the love, to whatever those feelings are that you have from those things that you enjoy. And that list does not, it could be work related. It could be, I love writing a spreadsheet. That I just feel so accomplished. I feel proud. I love the detail, just makes me feel so I can't even imagine loving a spreadsheet, so I can't even come up with the words for it. I'm going to be honest with you. Excel is not for me. It makes my eyes bleed, as I like to tell my corporate coworkers. That does not bring me joy, those kinds of things, but it might bring you joy. And what are the feelings of that thing? Where in your life every single day can you focus on those feelings? And that is doing exactly what Kate is talking about. Do what you love. You're starting to see. Sometimes we don't even know what we love because we haven't allowed ourselves to even think about it, to dream about it, to see it, to feel it. You don't even know what you love. So how are you going to do what you love, right? Because your focus is on the tethers. Focus on the sky. Like when I think about being untethered, the picture that I have in my mind is myself holding this huge bushel of balloons. You call it a bushel of balloons? A grouping of balloons in one hand. And my left ankle, so my right hand is up in the air with these balloons, and my left ankle has a stake with a rope around on it, and it is like stuck to the ground. And I'm being held there by this thing, by this tether. But we get to release that tether. But if we start focusing our attention on those balloons instead of focusing our attention on that tether that's holding us down, those balloons like start to grow. They start to become even more magical. They start to fill with more and more and more air. And eventually they pull us out of that tether. The balloons get bigger when we focus on them in this metaphor. You focus on the balloons, they grow, and then you start to soar into new places, into new amazing activities, into new job growth, into more money, into more love, into more abundance. All of those things come when we focus on the good things and not on the ground, not on the limitations. Y'all, the world is fighting for your limitations. We live in a world that is so focused, built entirely, intentionally. This world is intentionally built on scarcity and lack. Now, not by Mother Nature. She is full of abundance. This world we live in, this society that we have built is intentionally, especially for women, people of color, like it has been built to hold those people down and to elevate certain other people. But the truth is that nature is so abundant. And if we all learn to focus on expanding our balloons instead of focusing on the limitations that we've been told we're supposed to be focusing on, when we shift that, everything changes. So much is possible for you. You're eventually going to look back and you're going to be like, I have no idea how I ended up here, but here I am. And that's how I feel now. That's how I have felt every day for the past couple of years. It's like, this is amazing. It's magical how much can change for you so quickly when you start focusing on those abundant, amazing possibilities that are there for yourself. So what are those balloons? What are those balloons that are in your hand? And how can you start focusing more and more every day on those amazing feelings and allow yourself to soar up into the air, release those tethers, allow yourself to fly. You get to fly. You get to fly. Oh, a colleague of mine actually just released this beautiful song about flying. And I was like, I feel like after listening to this song, I've been on eagle's wings. So I've got flying on the brain, but you can do this. You really can. And there is so much possible for you. And you're so uncomfortable stuck in these tethers. You're like wrapped up in the spider web when you've forgotten that you yourself are the spider who's creating the web. You're creating the web. You get to build it however you want to. So are you going to build it focused on tethers, on lack, on the things that are holding you, that you're done with? Like things that you've outgrown, that you're like, okay, I'm when you're good there, you're not feeling growth anymore. And we want to be growing. Our human, like our souls are craving growth. It's what we're here to do. We're here to transform the world. We're here to have an experience. We're here to create. You're tapping into your creativity when you're focusing on those good feels, on those possibilities, on what's next for you. That's where your creativity comes from. It's not going to come in focusing on the tethers. It's not where creativity lives. Creativity lives in the sky. Creativity lives in those balloons, right? Balloons bring you delight, bring you joy. Biodegradable balloons, of course. That's how you leave those limitations behind. You get to soar up into the sky. So stop focusing on those things that are keeping you stuck. The world has you so tethered to being sensible, to owing things to other people, this codependency, feeling like you have to make other people happy. No, you're in control of your happiness, and everybody else is in control of their own happiness too. If I had been so focused, yes, it was really uncomfortable, by the way, to leave doing hair. It was really, really uncomfortable. I did not want to have to tell those beautiful clients who I loved that I was leaving. I did not want to have to tell my family that I was leaving Kansas when we came to Oregon. Like that was not a fun experience. I had to work through some serious codependency and my feeling that my decisions were impacting other people in negative ways. But you get to release that. And there's so many ways to do that. I know that for me, breath work has been incredibly supportive. Other nervous system work can be so supportive to us. Mindset work, all of the things, whatever it is that you need. You can do the Reiki, the hypnotherapy, the regular talk therapy, whatever the therapy, whatever practice is good for you for releasing those tethers. We have lots of episodes on tapping, on all kinds of things that can support you. Whatever it is that's going to help you to release those tethers so that you can focus on your possibilities, so that you can soar with those balloons into new and amazing places where you can unleash your gifts, your sparkly magic up into the world, like stars up in that sky that other people can see and just wonder at and see the possibilities for themselves, because that's what happens when you expand into yours, you expand other people's too. It's magical. It's magical what we can do when we allow ourselves to do it. So that's my call to you today. What are those 5 things? What are those just 5 things? 5 things that light you up. Feel each of those things. Write down what are the feelings. And every day, how can you feel more of those things? There's going to be overlap. There's going to be overlap in those feelings. I guarantee you, you're going to have like 5 things, 5 feelings for the 5 things. Focus on those. And all of those tethers just magically, they start to fall away. The more you focus on the possibility. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. It truly, truly means the world to me. If you're interested in breathwork, you can go to jenliss.com/breathe, and you can look into my packages that I have available for breathwork. If you're interested in coaching with me, you can go to jenliss.com/made-for-more and apply for my coaching program that's coming up. We're planning to start in mid-June. So if you are interested in either of those things, you can also reach out to me anytime. Links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to share it with somebody who might need to hear it. Share it with a friend. Make sure that you're following Untethered with Jen Liss right here on your favorite listening platform. You can follow on iTunes, on Spotify, wherever it is that you're listening. And you just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. I'll see you next time. Bye.